Hey guys, you know what happens when you go to trim your beard and unfortunately you pick the wrong length of trimmer? This right here. Meanwhile, we have Pepper coming to join us. Come here, lady. Oh, come on, don't be shy. All the other kitty cats have gotten in on the action. So this is my big girl, Pepper. Hey, baby. Hey. All right, you gotta get down so I can do my video. All right, so anyway, after the snafu here of trimming my beard, now we get to talk about comic books. All right, so I'm going to open with the first two that I'm going to talk about in upcoming videos, but I wanted you guys to see it because I did pick it up as part of my haul this week. So we have Punisher Red Band issue number 1 by Benjamin Percy, Ota, and Nitro. And so I will crack this bad boy open in an upcoming video in the next few days, and we'll talk about whether this Red Band edition of Punisher is worth the effort. All right, and then we'll have on Greatest Hits, Fantastic Four number 9. Yes, this is the facsimile edition of issue number 9 by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. And it looks like we have the Submariner and the end of the Fantastic Four. So be looking for that video under the Greatest Hits banner to be coming very, very soon. Okay, guys, now we can dig into the books that I actually have for this video. Spawn, issue 368 by Todd McFarlane with art by Brett Booth, inks by Adelso Corona, and colors by Robert Nugent. I wonder if that's Ted's cousin. Anyway, we have Spawn rallying the troops after the defeat of Nyx's champion, Guardian, I should say, that massive creature in the last issue, the last couple of issues, that was just marching across Spawn's kingdom like Godzilla across Tokyo. So this artwork by Brett Booth, as always, is classic. We have gotten 18 straight issues of Brett Booth artwork because Brett Booth is built differently. These days, we don't have artists who stay on a title for more than generally 10 to 12 issues, if that long. They'll come in, do a 4 or 5 issue opening arc. They'll take issue 6 off. They'll come back and do 7. They'll take 8 off, do 9, 10, and then disappear. And so it's nice to see somebody who can actually has the stamina to stay on a book for a very, very long period of time. He was on Gunslinger before, which, you know, natch. But, you know, he was on Gunslinger for a long time, but he swapped off with Carlos Barberi. And now Carlos is doing the art duties for Gunslinger, and he's doing the main Spawn title. It says on the cover that it's an epilogue issue, and that's really what it is. It's just a cleanup issue of after what happened in the last issue, which was just massive. So it's an epilogue to Hell Hath Arisen, where we got Nyx going against Spawn, reawakening all of their Hellspawn powers, all of Heaven's powers, and, you know, it was almost an Armageddon type situation, but it wasn't shown, at least to me, to be quite that heavy. It was DEFCON 3, but I'm thinking that it wasn't still DEFCON 4. There's still stakes that could be raised. I'm not really sure how, when you've got a 50-foot tall monster destroying everything and parading around and almost killing Haunt and a bunch of the different Spawn characters. But there's a DEFCON 4. Otherwise, Todd would have finished the book with that. So we've got the Freak. We've got, let's see, Gunslinger. We've got Poacher. And then we got the evil Black Lex Luthor. That's what I'm going to call it. His name escapes me at the moment, but he's trying to, his end game is to bring back a big bad that was originally the big bad of the Spawn universe. I'm not going to spoil that for you, but he hadn't been seen since, issue 99, 100, somewhere around there. So that is where DEFCON 4 awaits. If that character is resurrected, then oh boy. And she spawned Jessica, and he spawned, Al Simmons, had a little tiff right here. And they go back and forth, and he's like, I'm tired of fighting heaven, I'm tired of fighting humanity. Humanity's upset with us now, they know that we exist, and they're gonna pin all of these deaths from this massive creature on the spawn community, on the hell spawns. Even though we saved millions of lives, it's not about the lives we saved, but instead it's about the lives that were lost. They're going to obsess over those. So, awesome book. The energy is still here. I can't wait to dig into Spawn 369 next month. But in the meantime, guys, I've been reading this religiously since 350. I tried picking it up in the late 200s for the homage covers to the Spider-Man books, and stuck with it maybe from 297 through 305 before dropping it again. And I said, you know what? I said, it was at that time a $2.99 book. So I said, let me go ahead and dig into this cheap book, and worst case scenario, I'll lose $3. But I've really fallen in love with Spawn, and I can't wait till he gets to issue 400. This one hits you in the feels, guys. This is the final issue by Daniel Warren Johnson, and Jorge Corona as the main artist of Transformers. And you get to see this massive, just knockdown, drag out battle between Megatron and Optimus Prime. You get all the emotions because Megatron is trying to bait Optimus into a war where he is going to inevitably hurt a human. And he actually, Megatron, being the vile, evil bastard that he is, stomps out this family that's in this car. So Megatron shows how little regard at all, and nothing but pure contempt and loathing that he has for these humans who he knows that Optimus loves them and wants to protect them. And now he's using that against Optimus so that he can... Pepper. Hey, Pepper. Hang on a minute, guys. Come on. You gotta go, girl. You gotta go. You snuck in here on me when I wasn't looking. You got to go. Come on. Alright, now that I've kept a cat from destroying my door, then you get to see just how ancient and how primal this battle is between good and evil, Optimus and Megatron, the Autobots and the Decepticons. And in the end, well, not the end of the book, but in the end, Megatron triumphs momentarily because they drop Optimus Prime from a height, and he's impaled on these two big, massive girders. And you're thinking that Optimus is dead. He's not. Can't keep a good bot down. Not that easily. But Megatron said, I'm going to put you here so that you can witness what happens next. And so that I can choose. I can make you choose between the Cybertronians and these flesh creatures that you love so much. You must choose between a Cybertronian pure in heart and form, or your precious human friends. And Optimus says no. I figured you'd say as much, says Megatron, which is why if you don't choose, if you refuse to pick you will force me to kill them both. So just as Starscream is about to pull a trigger, you get this massive double-page spread of Omega Supreme flying over Starscream. That is awesome. The details in that page. Jorge Corona put his heart and his soul and his being into this book. And that's why, even though I'm excited to see what Dan Mora and Robert Kirkman can cook up for the Robots in Disguise, starting with the next issue, I am going to miss these guys. This book was so much more than a nostalgia buy, than a nostalgia cash grab. You know, Hasbro puts out all of these old, G1 replica figures and things like that, and sometimes it feels like a cash grab to me. This is not a cash grab. This is from two creators who love this property from the bottom of their hearts. And you get to see what Starscream's true name was. Oktar. Of course, I mean, if my name was Oktar, I would probably go by Starscream too. It's much more rock and roll. But he remembers who he is. He remembers who he was back in the day before all this hatred was pumped into him by Megatron. You know, sometimes it's not the true villain that causes the most problems directly. Instead, it's their acolyte. You get to see the destruction that Darth Vader put upon the Jedi Order, definitively emaciating their line and extincting the line of the Jedi. But that was due to the twists and the manipulations of Palpatine. Here you get to see a momentary redemption for Starscream. Because just like Darth Vader, at the very end he realizes there's more to life than this. And then you get to see Omega Supreme fly off. His job was done. I'm not going to tell you how the fight between Prime and Megatron ends, but if you've ever seen the 1986 movie, it's going to put a smile on your face that won't wipe off. Thank you. Thank you, Daniel Warren Johnson. And thank you, Jorge Corona, for providing a fitting end cap to what was already an amazing run. Next up, we have Aquaman, issue number 9, by Jeremy Adams and John Timms, where Aquaman becomes God. No, not God, a God. He lays his wife to rest. And he says, now I've got to go out here and leave this place. He tells Nemo, I am more than I was before. I can feel in the blue. I can feel where we need to go. I feel how we can get back to Earth. So Nemo says this will take us back to Earth. Then tally-ho. And they walk right into a fight between the entire Justice League and Superman. We got Batman, Wonder Woman, Blue Beetle, Red Tornado, maybe the Elongated Man, even Aztec, and Hawk Girl. And Superman is proceeding to whip them all. He's been touched and infected by some sort of demon, almost. And all of a sudden, a hand comes up and says, that's not, he's like, that's not how we treat friends. So he pulls his hand back before he's going to strike Batman and kill him. And he hits Arthur instead, and he says, "Unhand me." And Arthur looks at him and says, "Now, Superman, that's not how we treat friends." And he hits him back. And it's blowing everybody's mind just how strong Aquaman has become. But he realizes, he says, some sort of evil spirit has infected Superman and we've got to get it out. So Arion did what no one else could do as a sorcerer, and he sent that spirit to die and be gone. He wants to be alone in his thoughts by himself. He says, "I've still lost so much. There's Mira and I in younger days, happier days." So he goes and, like I apparently intended to not do, he went and shaved his beard off. And he's swimming through Atlantis. It's as a reminder of what was in a past that I have to leave no matter what. At the end, you get to see Mara alive. Wait a minute, didn't we just bury her at the beginning of this issue? Something tells me we're going to have some time-traveling adventures in this book coming up. Awesome job by John Timms and Jeremy Adams. Like I said, that's 9 issues into Aquaman. That's the longest 9 issues that I've ever collected Aquaman. Because it's just never been an interesting character to me. But his take on Arthur Curry, top notch. All right, guys, 3 more books to go. We have the next 2 anniversary issue of Conan the Barbarian by Jim Zub, Fernando Dagnino, and this is issue 24. And we get the continue of Mistress Arthur Bast trying to find out who Amra, the champion, who was actually Conan. And then you have Zula, who is a shapeshifter and a fellow warrior, but in this moment he's Conan's associate and friend, because they realize that Tathaman is worse than anything else they got going on. So they said we have to band together to stop this guy, because he's going to bring about untold death and destruction. So they're set upon by enemies, and Conan holds his own because Conan is Conan. He's just a Sumerian warrior, born and bred to destroy and bring about utter destruction to his enemies. Also known as Arnold Schwarzenegger back in 1982. But you get this, again, double-page spread by Dagnino of what's supposed to be the lair of all of these serpent eggs, because that is what they are hunting. They say that these serpents are supposed to be sent to kings in various kingdoms as gifts, as presents, to say, hey, we are gifting you this. And then when they open the egg, then, oh boy. So it's a snake creature, which gives me nightmares, with someone's head on it. And so that person's head, instead of being like a Medusa, it freezes you. But then it gets deeper into your head. And it says, Conan is already transfixed by the piercing emerald eyes that are glaring back at him. They strike strange chords in the deepest recesses of his mind, stirring old fears and fateful memories. So he remembered seeing something like this in his younger days. And Zula ends up getting caught, and wrapped up with a bunch of these snakes. And he's like, hey, you've got to resist, or else we're all doomed. And so Conan breaks free from the mental distraction and Zula goes and tears the snake amulet off, and they destroy these snake forces and burn them. And meanwhile, you get to see Zula say, yeah, we must leave. And he says, no, your deed is done, but mine still awaits. Livia still lives in the tower. I've got to go find her. And in one of the most heartbreaking scenes that I've read, not just this week, but this year, Livia is standing on the tower. And she says, I was told by Bast, I'm standing here smiling until you returned. Kindness begets kindness. And Conan says, she's taken over your mind. Livia eyed, not one step closer, Cimmerian. I must give you a message. You may have escaped my clutches this day, barbarian, but I swear we will meet again, and when we do, I will shatter you as easily as I shatter this little broken whore that you cared for. And just like that, she's gone. Conan can do nothing but watch her go. So sometimes even the heroes don't always win clean. Sometimes they win, but they have a scar. Sometimes they win, but they lose someone that they love very, very, very much. Best issue of the week. Pick of the week. Thank you again, Jim Zub, for loving this character of Conan so very much that you infuse that love into the book. Jeremy Adams infuses that same type of love into his books at DC, and even Flash Gordon. But it's not quite the same, because you can tell that he's still playing with other people's toys. Jim Zub has wholeheartedly given himself to this series, to this cast of characters. And hey, I know he's only got about 2 years left on his contract, but you guys would be fools to let him go, Titan. So make sure that you give this man a contract extension. All right, and next to last is Feral, issue number 16. We have the finale of all of the cats inside the pet city. We get to find out that the humans left them with plenty of food, but that Mother, this big fat cat, is the one who's pretty much the judge, jury, and executioner, the kingpin of Pet City, whatever you want to call it. And she gives it to Lord, that Lord is to be sacrificed for the good of Pet City, because Lord went to get some food and didn't know his purpose. And Elsie says, we can't leave him. He doesn't like to be alone. And one of the other cats says this, not now. Now is not the time. And Lord, he's just a little guy. Just like my Percy man. He's a little guy. And he says, I can do better. I can be better. And then he just cries himself to sleep. And if you're like me and you really like cats, that's a heartbreaking episode to read. It truly is, to see that these other cats in this hierarchy and this mother character, and just seeing how basic decency has gone out the window in order for survival to really take hold and carry people through. Excellent series by Tony Fleeks with art by Trish Forstner and Tone Rodriguez. If you guys aren't reading this book, I don't know why. It's kind of keyboard cats where people send in pictures of their cats. And at the end, the power gets turned back on. What happens after that? You gotta buy the book to read it. All right. And this is the second runner-up the first runner-up for Pick of the Week. Jeremy Hampton, That's real good. Morgan Hampton and Jeremy Adams are co-writers. As artist, you've got Fernando Pasarin. Let's see if I can find the. There we go. Fernando Pasarin and Auclair Albert. And you get this pretty cool opening splash page of all of the different emotional characters that run the different spectrums, you know, the different aspects of the spectrum. And they're pretty much riding them in like, you know, John Wayne on a horse to battle against the Starbreakers. You know, I got to thinking about it, and sometimes you get all-out action some weeks, sometimes you get something different. This issue, or this batch of issues, had a lot of emotional punches, emotional gut punches. And I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens, but Sorrow Man, who started all of this by pining after Carol Danvers, sees the foolishness in his ways. And it says, Carol, I can see it so much clearer now. No emotions clouding my vision. Hal and Carol, they complement each other, their will, their love, and seeing them together, of course Carol would want Hal. They've loved each other for an eternity. I stole that from them, and I stole that from everyone. This is wrong. Not feeling is wrong. This is all happening because of me, so I should be the one to make it right at all costs. You get to see this massive explosion of the Sorrow Lantern. And the Starbreakers are wounded, but not destroyed, not defeated. And at the end, Starbreaker, the main Starbreaker from Starbreaker Corps says, the Starbreaker Corps will destroy the Green Lantern Corps forever, and we're going to, you know, we're going to come to their home turf, and we're going to destroy them. This is a strong, fun book. I've heard a couple of other YouTubers talk about how they didn't enjoy this particular storyline. It didn't really resonate with them, and I get that. Not every storyline is for everybody, but to see the redemption of Nathan and to get to see his human side. When you first met him, he was just kind of a prick. He pined after Carol to the point where he became a supervillain. And of all the people that I had dated over the years, there was only one that ever, you know, possibly could have caused me to become a supervillain for pining. But I've got my wife now, and these books and these stories and this channel, and you guys provide so much happiness and entertainment for me that I love making these videos, and then hopefully you enjoy watching these videos. So anyway, enough with me being sappy and going on and on and on about things that don't matter. Read more comics. That was a pretty good pile, guys. That's a pretty good run. So we've got Green Lantern Corps issue number 8, part of the Starbreaker Supremacy. We've got Feral issue 16, the Petco Disaster. Conan, Snakes on a Plane. No, there are no planes here. Aquaman as a god, even though he shaved his beard. Pitch Perfect finale to a Pitch Perfect run. Cleanup issue, kind of like the issue 184 of the Spectacular Spider-Man, the epilogue to The Child Within. Don't know, haven't read it just yet. So we've got Fantastic Four Facsimile issue number 9. And also haven't read Punisher Red Band issue 1 by Benjamin Percy. All right, guys, thanks for joining me for another great week of comics. Let's know in the, let's go down to the comics section now, and you guys tell me what books you picked up, what you're reading. Is there anything that you're dropping? Is there any new series? Did you try Punisher Red Band? Did you try anything new this week? They've also got DCKO, but I'm just not. I don't want to. That'll be another video, okay? I'm kind of burned out of all of these big, expansive minis that balloon into something. I've already got enough books to read. I've got more than enough to read. So, anyway, guys, thanks for joining me again. And this was Doc Lil Talks Comics, and this was Doc's haul for the week of September the 10th, 2025.